Hi viewers, welcome to Graphic Online TV. Today we're going to have a post-budget analysis with a very prominent person at PwC, Ayesha Bedwei Ibe, who is a tax lead at PwC. Welcome, Ayesha.
Thank you.
And how are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good.
Well,
the finance minister, read the budget, the parliament, and want to do an analysis of it. First of all, what are your expectations? Did the budget meet your expectations, 2026 budget?
So the budget met some of our expectations, but I'm sure you can appreciate that having been in this business for quite some time, we have expectations every year. We even make inputs into the budgets. We make suggestions because, of course, we interact with the business community every single day and we know what is important to them. Not everything gets taken up. So similarly for this budget, it met some of our expectations and I think we are quite positive about that part of it.
What were the expectations that were met?
The biggest one was the VAT reform. That is a key one. And maybe we can go more into it later, but it's very important for businesses in Ghana.
Yes, we'll go into it. But again, I haven't asked how the budget met your expectations. What were those expectations that were not met? We'll come back to the VAT.
The ones that were not met, there are many.
Just a few.
One of the things that we've been pushing for a number of years is a special regime for head offices in Ghana. It's a head office tax regime. So what it does is that it empowers companies to come and set up their head offices here and operate from here as a base in the region. And that comes with certain tax privileges and incentives. That has not been taken up. We've been putting that in for a number of years. That hasn't happened. We think that's a good way to re-attract investment in Ghana because the honest truth is that a number of companies have left Ghana, have left the business community in Ghana due to the harsh economic conditions in the past few years. And so we need to do a lot to attract investment back into Ghana. And that was one of the areas that we could have done that. So that's something that we're hoping will be taken on board.
Great. Talking about VAT regime, that got you so excited.
Yes.
What is special about it? Because we all know that VAT is a consumption tax.
Yes.
The more you consume, the more you pay. And government has been on it because it wants to maximize revenue.
Yes.
So what is so special about the VAT tax that got you so excited?
So VAT, unfortunately, over the past few years, has been amended so many times and has resulted in a very complex tax that is difficult to understand, difficult to comply with, has resulted in inflationary measures, so it's increased prices, and has just become a headache for the business community. Anybody or any business that is VAT registered goes through a myriad of issues each month in conducting their business, in filing their returns, and overall compliance. And the impact on the consumer has also been quite harsh because the additional cost has been passed on to consumers, which has resulted in higher prices. So VAT has been a headache, to be very honest.
And I hope you also appreciate that government will tell you that it needs the revenue.
Yes.
It needs the money.
Yes.
To spare development.
Yes.
So why should that be a headache? Every country has its own fiscal regime that it implements to raise revenue. Why should VAT be a problem?
So one of the principles of taxation is that it has to be simple enough for people to comply with and follow through. So the issue is not the VAT itself. VAT is definitely a consumption tax that government has to put in place, especially for an informal economy like Ghana. Majority of our economy is funded and run by the informal sector who find it difficult to comply with taxation. So VAT is one of the ways that the government can ensure that everybody is contributing to the tax pot for the country. Okay. So VAT itself is not the problem. It's the way it was administered and the way it was overcomplicated that became even more of a problem because people then run away from it, don't want to comply. And for those who do want to comply or are complying, it's extra difficult for them. And so what you see in the budget is that it has been simplified, it has been amended, and it has been made easier for compliance purposes.
How easy is it now from the previous regime?
It's much easier. So perhaps the initial comments I'll make is that the good thing I would say is that immediately the budget was read, the amendment bill for VAT was laid in Parliament. So it means the change is going to happen very quickly. Okay. We had elements of VAT which included the NHIL and the Get Fund levies, what we call the straight levies. That resulted in a tax on tax situation happening. Tax on tax is not correct in terms of the principles of taxation. And because of the way it was applied, it made it very difficult. So that has been stripped out. That has now become a deductible part of VAT. So essentially, it has become a true VAT. It is going to be treated as an input and output tax. So people who are VAT registered can now claim back the VAT that they incur, including those levies. They are no longer levies, they are part of VAT. I'm just making this as simple as I can for the layperson to understand. Okay, and then the COVID levy has been abolished. We've been out of COVID now for a number of years, so that has been abolished. So the effective rate for VAT, which went up to 21.9% or so, is now coming back down to 2021. So you can see that VAT is still high, but the issue is not so much the rate, but how it was applied. So when something is easier to comply with, people comply. And that is what we are happy about.
And so, I mean, this obviously means that the rate will come down. And
a little.
A little. No matter how little, I mean, there will be some revenue gap.
Yes.
How do you hope government to be able to, I mean, fill the revenue gap
government
based
is
on the revision of the VAT?
Government is going to have to look for other ways to shore up the revenue that they are losing. From COVID levy, I think they're going to be losing about 3.8 billion cedis or so. So they will have to find other ways to impose taxes to raise that revenue, which we all understand and accept. The country has to run. But I believe that they're going to do that more on the compliance side. So we always talk about the widening the tax net. This has been a constant phrase and concept in numerous budgets, but I don't believe enough has been done. So we are looking forward to the fact that this budget suggests that the government is going to be really focusing on ensuring that there's compliance, ensuring that people who are supposed to be in the tax net all come in and do their part. At the moment, only 40% of us are carrying this nation.
Okay.
More people have to pay their level in tax. And when we talk about the informal sector, we're not talking about the lady selling tomatoes by the roadside. We're talking about businesses, we're talking about hotels, we're talking about other companies that are doing business and are not contributing their quota. That's what we're referring to.
Oh, I see. We'll come back to the VAT discussion. But in the last budget, in 2025 budget, the focus was on revenue rationalization. From your perspective, you think that, or do you think that government has been able to achieve that?
Not fully. You know, one of the things I think we must do as individuals, as nationals, is to manage our expectations. Even in this budget, the government is not able to fix all the issues at one go or in one budget. But what we're excited about is that they have started the process, and what they've put in place is in the right direction. And so I'm encouraged that as we move on into 2026, we'll see a lot of development in the right direction in that regard. So,
I mean, back to the issue of revenue for this 2026, government has set itself some ambitious targets. I mean, with the big push agenda, I mean, pumping millions of Ghana cedis into development and infrastructure. Now, with the simplification of the VAT regime and the fiscal regime, I mean, again, I indicated government, there will be some revenue gap. And we've always talked about, I mean, government, I mean, going after the informal sector to raise revenue. How easy would that be? Because this has been a discussion that we've had several years ago. And the government, after government, successive regimes have tried to find a way to raise revenue through the informal sector. I mean, as tax people, what are some of the easiest ways you can suggest to government to go and raise the revenue?
Okay. So what I'm going to suggest is nothing new, because we, like I said, we give our inputs every year. So I'm just going to reiterate things we've said in the past. One of the easiest ways is through property taxes. Now, one of the things I'll say, perhaps in defense of government, because I'm trying to be very balanced here, is that sometimes they actually know what to do, okay? But it's an issue of political will, it's an issue of their constituents, they have to balance things, there's all that pressure, so it's kind of difficult. One of the quick wins is through property taxes. Now, everybody lives somewhere, even if they live in a kiosk. And I believe that if we enforce the property tax side of things, we'll be able to raise quite a bit of revenue, especially for people who build houses and don't complete them. There are many eyesores all over Accra. and other parts of the country where they are half-completed structures that have been standing there for 15, 20, even 30 years. If people were forced to pay an amount of tax based on their property, maybe starting from maybe when they start building upon completion and continuous maintenance, that would be a quick win. So that's one of the quick wins that I would suggest, because everybody lives somewhere, so you could raise that.
Okay.
The second one has got to do, I mentioned about compliance, right?
Yes.
With the fact that we all have GPS addresses, it makes it easier to track businesses in terms of their physical location. I'm not going to talk about the digital side, because that's another whole complicated side of things, which the tax law is trying to address. But even let's talk about the physical location. So, like I said, you have all these businesses that we're referring to as informal, but they're not actually informal if you look at the substance of what they're doing. Restaurants, hotels, shops, even car dealerships. A lot of them are not in compliance with the tax laws. They are not paying what they should pay. They're not contributing, which makes it very hard for those who are actually bearing the burden. So I think that's a great starting point. They could consider property taxes. I do understand that they're, it's kind of difficult, but it's something to consider. But then also be very diligent and intentional about bringing other businesses into the tax net so they can pay their quota and reduce the burden for those who are carrying it all.
Okay, people have said that, the reason why we are not seeing enough of the revenue from the tax level, from the tax angle, is that there are too many people collecting taxes. And so we use the same taxes to pay those who collect the taxes. Is there a view you agree with?
When you say there are too many people, what do you mean?
There are a lot of tax people around. For example, when you go to the GRA, there are a lot of bureaucracies created. And so at the end of the day, instead of getting a few people to do the job and get them paid, you have a lot of people who have been employed in that sector collecting taxes, and at the end of the day, you use the same taxes that you've collected to go into the consolidated fund for development. Use the same taxes to pay them. Is this something you share, that there are too many people within the tax stream that ought to be rationalized in order for us to get the maximum returns from taxation to put into development?
I don't think so. In our job as tax professionals, we deal with the tax authorities every day. I don't think that there are too many people. What I think is that with the people that we have, we can deploy them even better. So when I spoke about going out there and getting the so-called informal sector involved, perhaps it could be added to their portfolio to be physically out on the ground, perhaps even using the national service people who are posted to them to do that. But I don't think there are too many people. Tax is a very, should I say, involving and complicated area. It's not easy for someone to understand who has not been trained in the subject. Those individuals have been trained and they understand what they are doing. Can they do it better? Can they be more effective? Yes. Can they be more efficient? Yes, we all can. But I think this is when we really, really need them now to take on even more to help the country realize the true potential of the taxes that are paid in the country.
Great. In the implementation of the 2025 budget, the IMF in their last review said that, we have implemented about 89% of the budget for 2025. I know that you've not thoroughly gone through the 2026. You might have seen bits and pieces of it. You think that, we'll be able, by the end of 2026, to say that we've achieved 90% implementation, or we'll be able to achieve, from your forecast, 90% implementation of the 2026 budget?
It's kind of difficult to say. I would say that if the government continues on the same track that they have and at the same level of speed, it's very possible. But it's very difficult to say. As you know, things happen. One of the things I'll congratulate the government for is that the rate of inflation has dropped way even below their target. So there's quite some success there. And that's very important for the people of Ghana, because as we know, prices influence so much, including the way of life, standard of living. So if they continue in this trajectory, I believe that it is possible, but it's difficult to tell, as you know. there's so much volatility in the world, which also can impact us. We know about the various wars. We know about the shortages that those things lead to. We know about the tariffs and the fragmentation of the trade blocks and what that means for international trade, globalization, even relationships we have with our trading partners and diplomatically. All of these things impact our economy. So it's kind of difficult to forecast right now. If Ghana was in a bubble on its own, perhaps it would have been easier. But there are too many things affecting us as a people and even as a continent to be able to adequately project now. I think even projecting 2-3 months ahead is kind of difficult. But that is kind of where we are now as a world. Because I'm sure as a news person, when you wake up every day, you're not sure what you're going to see on the news.
Correct. That's very correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. I mean, we've seen this may not be your area, but I just want to pick your view.
Sure.
I mean, it just has to do with economics. We've seen improvement in the macroeconomic indicators. We've seen inflation drop. We've seen stability in the exchange rate. We've seen the
lending rate.
And that is where the problem is. I mean, all of these things we are seeing improvement, but the pass-through effect in the lending rate is not commensurate with the inflation and the TB rate. What do you suggest? I mean, if you are not okay, well, that's fine. What do you suggest government should do? Because that disconnect between the lending rate and the rate of inflation and TB rate, it appears that lending rate is still up. Whilst we see the policy rate come down, lending rate is still hovering around
26 or so.
Exactly.
Policy rate just came down to 17 a couple of weeks ago, right?
Policy rate is now 21%. 21%.
It was rather the GRR
inflation
come down
GRR.
to
Exactly.
17.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, all macroeconomic indicators, we've seen some improvement.
Yes.
The only, tip
is the lending rate,
is the commercial
lending
rate. That's where, apart from that, government has done exceedingly well. But the problem is the lending rate.
What influences the lending rate? Is it not the decision of, at least the commercial lending rate, the decision of the banks?
The decision of the banks, it has to do with the rising NPLs.
Yes.
Sometimes if the TB rate is so high, banks will want to, instead of giving their monies to businesses, they want to invest in T-bills. Because the TB rate, is more secured, it's more guaranteed, and then it gives you convincing rate that you like.
But I think you've said the answer, which I'll just pick on.
Yes.
The rising NPLs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, banking is a business, just like any other business. And the fact that we have rising NPLs says a couple of things. One, about our attitude to borrowing as a people.
Yeah.
And two, the strength of our judiciary system. Because if borrowers default and there's no recourse to action for the banks, there are many cases that have gone to the judiciary system that have not received any conclusive end. And the banks have had to write off these NPLs, which is not good for their bottom line.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we can strengthen how we deal with NPLs from a legal point of view to instill better behaviors in us as a people.
Okay.
And secondly, the confidence that the banks have that when this happens, there's a recourse to action. And then, again, I'm talking about the behaviors of the people because we know that, listen, there are consequences to this. It will also change the way we approach borrowing and how we deal with repayment. I think that will impact the commercial rate. It's a trust issue. You know that, right? And at the moment, again, I come back to the world as a whole. Trust levels are down. Trust levels are down. The Edelman barometer, which measures trust, tells us people don't trust governments. They don't trust the media. They don't trust leadership. All the
nobody's trusted.
The trust levels are quite low.
Yeah.
And that is also translating to the financial sector as well. They cannot trust that when we go borrow from them, we will repay, especially looking at the history in Ghana. So I think that is the key, right? So let's work on our judiciary system, how we deal with defaulters and NPLs, and then that can help see some further reduction in the commercial lending rate. That's my view.
Yeah, your view is well accepted, and it's a very good view that we will advocate. I mean, you've dealt with businesses. I mean, you audit the accounts
their
and
financials,
then their financials and what have you. From where you sit and looking at this budget, do you think, apart from the expectations that were not met, do you think that businesses will be very pleased with this particular budget, 2026?
I think they will be somewhat pleased. And let me expand.
They're just being cautious. Eh?
Yeah, I'm being cautious because if I put myself in their shoes, we have come through a very difficult time, a very challenging time. Many of them have made a difficult decision to pack up and leave the shores of Ghana because of how difficult things were from a macroeconomic perspective, from an ease of doing business perspective, from a sentiment, political sentiment perspective. They made their decisions and they left, okay? And those that stayed behind were weathering the storm and dealing with the challenges. Now there's been some positive indications and a move in the right direction. So they will be pleased, but they will be, as they say, cautiously optimistic.
Do you have some of your clients who have left?
Oh, yes. Personally, about, and I can't mention names, but personally about between 2022 and 2024, at least 12 companies left Ghana. Oh, yes. And we have shared this information with the Ministry of Finance. Yes.
Well, I'd love to get them so that at least we can do a very comprehensive story on it.
Yeah. And one of the things that we've also noticed, because now for PwC in Ghana, we cover the Francophone African countries. For the tax business, I'm now responsible for, there are about 17 countries in all that fall under our jurisdiction. And also for our audit colleagues as well, the same. And our observations have been that there's been a lot of investment going into those countries.
The Francophone countries?
Yes.
So they leave Ghana and their destination is? Okay.
Yes. We've noticed, just even based on our experience and interactions when dealing with the clients who are coming to us for advice, they are sharing with us their investment plans into those particular countries. And we are seeing huge amounts of investment going into those countries in a very short period of time. That tells me one thing, that those countries have been more attractive than Ghana. And when we probe further, because we've had a few discussions with the ministry, a few discussions, we probe further, we realized that couple of things. First of all, a lot of the Francophone countries, their currency is more stable than the Ghana cedi. Repatriation of profits is a lot easier than in Ghana. And because of these two things,
the fiscal regime?
The fiscal regime is also welcoming. Tax regime is a bit difficult, but we are, when it comes to this, the investment dollars. And so because of that, there's a lot of VC, venture capital and PE activity as well, private equity activity going into those countries. So for me, we felt as PwC was something we had to flag.
Which sectors of the economy do they
manufacturing, telecommunications, heavy on the manufacturing. So quite a lot of manufacturing investment we've seen. And then quite a bit of telecommunications as well. But the manufacturing, not mining, no. Mining to a limited degree, but heavy on the manufacturing, coming a lot from Asia. Yeah.
And this naturally will translate into job losses.
Yes. So for us, it was imperative that we flag this to the leadership of the country so that steps can be taken to bring Ghana back up as an investment location that is very attractive. So it's our job. Again, we deal with clients, we see the trends, and we want the betterment and improvement of our country. So when we notice things like this, we flag them for the leadership of the country to have the information and make the decision.
So as we zero down on the interview, what will be your closing remarks, your final remarks?
Final remarks? Well, what I would say is that I'm grateful to the government of Ghana for the budget that they've laid out. I believe it sends the right signal to the business community and to Ghanaians at large. And I look forward to what the next 6 months hold in terms of implementation, which hopefully will be smooth. All the actors involved talking to each other to make sure that the rollout is as effective and as efficient as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ayesha Bedwei Ibe.
Yes.
Thank you. Most grateful.
Thank you. Most grateful. Thank you.
Viewers, thank you very much for being part of the conversation. We hope to see you some other time.
For more news, please visit our website graphic.com.gh or follow us on Facebook at Daily Graphic and on YouTube and Twitter at GraphicGH.
Subscribe now.